Welcome back to Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. I was Christmas shopping today.
Yes, you were.
Up in LaGrange. And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that my son and daughter-in-law aren't going to listen to this before Christmas. And I went into this really cool store called Jack West. And I saw something in there, and I had to buy it for Chuck. Chuck, tell us what that was.
Chuck got elf socks. Now, they're not, small socks, but they're socks that I can wear that have Will Ferrell as Buddy the Elf screaming on them. I think it's the scene in which he realizes Santa is coming. So, yeah. So I'm gonna be very warm and festive. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You started to say you interviewed Will Ferrell for this role.
One of my first interviews. He was in town. He was in Chicago for Elf there many years ago, and they were really pushing it. They were really pushing that film. And I remember him saying during the course of the interview, he said, people say that my entire career rests on this film. And when you look back, he was just coming off Saturday Night Live. I think he was still on for another year or so.
Okay.
He had done the Night at the Roxbury movie and a couple others that, just hadn't gotten any sort of traction at all. And he was always the supporting guy still. So he says, yes, my entire career. And that's how he said it, career is it. And I'm like, well, I hope it works out. He says, let me tell you, me too. So,
I think it did.
Yeah, it all worked out for him. So yeah, good for you, Will Ferrell.
Classic movie. I tell you, it's always on the Southwest Airlines movie app. And I watch it all the time.
What is it about? I was actually talking to somebody today about Jaws. And there are certain movies, it doesn't matter how many times you watch them.
Right.
Doesn't matter. They're still fresh. You still get entertained. And what is it? That's that secret ingredient to certain movies that no matter what, they are truly timeless.
As film critics, we should be able to taste that ingredient and tell people what it is, but I can't. I don't know.
Well, I think that's the excitement of it, though, is that, that whole, and as filmmakers, that's got to be really rough because you're doing it and you're not going to get any reaction for months.
Right.
Sometimes years.
Right.
How do I know that I've done this right? So that's got to be agonizing for filmmakers. But yeah, that secret thing and it's the same thing with movie stars.
Yeah.
There are plenty of good actors and actresses out there, but, that doesn't mean they have that charisma, that thing that lights up the screen that we fall in love with, and you can't take your eyes off them. It's that intangible thing.
It is. Lots of things are going through my head, like, what's one movie that you do watch over and over again, especially around the holidays? And then I started thinking about Babylon. I think we're embargoed on that one, so I can't.
Still yet a little bit,
okay,
yeah.
So can't mention that one. What is a movie that just really makes you just have those new feelings all over again every single time you watch it?
Well, yeah, like I say, Jaws, every time. And it's funny, Spielberg has that, because, you can go to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, it's
Never
always
gets tired.
fun.
Never get tired of that one. E.T., he's got that sense of magic about him. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but, it's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, and that's mine. That's what I was going to say.
Every time.
I cry every single time.
You're crying every time. Yeah, you know exactly what's going to happen.
I do.
Still,
I know all the lines.
Yeah, but there's just a sincerity, a conviction, a belief that you pick up on those very special movies that no matter what, you're sucked in time and time again. So, do you think we have any of those to talk about this week or the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I don't know. One of the movies that we're going to talk about is Nanny, and I really did like that movie.
That was a
a
heck of a surprise for me.
Yeah, it was for me too. In my interview with this young woman, Anna Diop, who is the star of the film.
She is something.
She's incredible. I learned so much about the movie. I learned so much about her and how the two are intertwined. It was a good interview. It was. I loved what she shared with me. I really did. She's just gorgeous, and she's eloquent and regal. She could be a queen.
Oh yeah,
you
catch that.
Yeah,
and she's got that quality.
She does.
Because the thing about Nanny is it's a slow burn.
It is.
And you've got to really be patient. But because of all those things you mentioned about Miss Diop, that kept me interested. I'm like, I'm going to see this through because, of her charisma and sucked me into her character and what was going on.
And great screenwriting, too, because it does pique your interest. If you haven't seen Nanny yet, it's going to be on Amazon Prime
starting tomorrow.
Friday, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it stars Anna Diop as Aisha. She is from Senegal, and she's got a young child who she leaves behind in Senegal with a relative to raise while she comes to New York City and works for a very wealthy family as a nanny on the Upper East Side. Things don't work out quite the way that she had planned. She sees these people in one light and then realizes that it is another actuality.
Yes.
And as she's working for money to bring her son over and create this better life for the two of them, we see glimpses of supernatural and spiritual things happening and blending into reality. What is real, what is not. This intensifies over the course of how many months that she's there. She ends up having a love interest in this story as well. And within this love story, this man's mother, played by Leslie Uggams, incredible actress.
Yeah, I didn't know she was still around. I was glad to see her.
I was too. Yeah. She had such an element of authenticity to this film as well, as we learn a little bit about the Senegal myths and culture and how Aisha really doesn't know much about what's happening to herself, and the two of them come together to try to uncover what's actually happening. Heartbreakingly beautiful. And the symbolism that is within this story is just absolutely incredible. I'm going to go ahead and pause here. I want to play a couple of clips from my interview, just so that when you watch it, and I really hope that everyone does get a chance to watch this movie, that it gives you insight into what everything means within it. Let's take a listen.
Nanny is it's a story about motherhood and survival and resilience. It's the story of Aisha, who immigrates from Senegal to New York. Through her, we explore these themes of survival and resilience and what it means to try to, have the American dream.
How did you personally connect with your character, if you did?
Yeah, my mother and Aisha have so many parallels. My mother also immigrated from Senegal to Houston when I was 5 years old, and she did it for the exact same reasons Aisha does, which is to try to create a better life for me. And so it was a story that was deeply personal to me and very moving. I was honored to have been given the part.
You've got the theme of water. And that's from your past, your character's past, your present, and your future. Can you tell me about the symbolism, if there is anything at all with that?
Yeah, that's such a beautiful question. In Senegal, we're right on the Atlantic Ocean, and so water is a huge part of our culture. It's where we get the abundance of our protein because we eat a lot of fish. It's where we go to play and swim. It's where spiritually in Senegal, we also are of the mind and of the belief that it's also a cleansing and a healing place.
Okay.
And so a practice that we do is whenever you go to the beach, you don't just go to the beach to play and have fun. You also take with you some water from the beach. And throughout your week or your days, whenever you're stressed or have angst or concerned about something, you wash yourself with that water because we believe it to be a healing source.
Okay.
And so it was really beautiful to explore that theme of water with a filmmaker that understands what water means to our culture and what it means to our people. And in this film, we see it as a source of healing, of home, of comfort, and also destruction and tragedy. Something Nikiatu talks about often is how during the transatlantic slave trade, the individuals, the slaves, for lack of a better term, that were brought over to the Americas would choose their own fate and jump into the water and drown themselves as to escape the horrors that they knew were coming once they landed. So water in African cultures and Black history is is a powerful thing. It's a very meaningful thing, and yeah, this film definitely explores so many themes of it.
Incredibly brilliant woman and the perfect person to play this role.
I gasped twice.
Did you really?
Yeah, I mean, there was twice when it just kind of threw me for a loop. And I love I love horror films that aren't, that mean something. And this whole sense of alienation she's going through, they're talking about the immigrant experience.
Right.
How do you integrate into a new culture and yet not forget your own, because you can't forget your own because that's what made you who you are.
Right.
And these are all things that she's wrestling with, and all things that come out, and I'm using your quotes here, the horror or the suspense of the film.
This isn't a typical horror
No,
movie.
not at all.
I had a really hard time putting it into a genre, if you
I'd
will.
say thriller. Psychological thriller, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is produced by Blumhouse, who has, they are the, number one as far as horror films are concerned. But this is not the typical what they usually produce.
No, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Jordan Peele's Get Out, and coincidentally, she was also in Peele's Us from a few years ago. But it's smart, it's relevant, it's timely. It takes into consideration social issues that are occurring within our lives, our world.
It's haunting.
It is.
I mean, I saw it about a week ago, and my mind still turns back to it. I'm like, yeah, that was really good. Oh yeah, I remember that moment. Be patient with it. It's only 97 minutes. Be patient with it, because the payoff, trust me, the payoff is worth it.
When I saw this at the Chicago International Film Festival, which was in early October, mid-October, and I saw that it was a horror movie. I wasn't thrilled about seeing it. Thrilled that I did see it. And then I knew you were going to see it, and I thought, oh, you were like the horror connoisseur. What are you going to think of this? Because you're up here with your knowledge base, and I thought, I really hope you liked it, and so I'm so glad that you did.
Yeah, it's up there with Smile for me.
And I still haven't seen
this year as far as smart horror films.
Still have to see it.
Yeah, I really, this is why I do this, to be surprised. You go in with no expectations, you don't know much, and then wow.
Yeah.
And so these are the types of ones I need to reinstill a little bit of hope.
Yes, and it's interesting at this time of year, and at the end of the podcast here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Critics' Choice Awards nominations, as well as Chicago Film Critics Association and their winners. We see maybe 300 movies a year, 350, something like that. It's a crazy number.
Yeah.
And sometimes movies get kind of shuffled, buried, and lost. And,
yes.
And Emily the Criminal. Which is on your top list, I'm going to guess.
It's going to be number 2.
Number 2. It wasn't on my top list until I think I'm revising my top list, because I just watched it again yesterday. Damn, it's smart.
So smart. And
so
again,
good.
Timely.
Yes.
And she's so good, Aubrey Plaza.
Is.
I mean, if you haven't seen this, I mean, again, if I take the time to watch a movie 3 times, that tells you something, because as you say, we have to watch so many things. But to carve out that time to go back, and I get something new every time.
Yeah, I'm glad that I did. Man, this boosted up and probably will make my top 10.
And, and this is not to discredit that, but I think we'll talk about this in a later podcast when we wrap up the year, but it hasn't been a great year.
It hasn't.
And I just, I think I found the film that I love. I don't know if you have yet. But, I mean, I have really been disappointed with the end of the year stuff, too. I mean, I'm usually looking to be blown away by a couple of things. One of them did it for me, and that's it.
Okay. I've got 2 that I feel very, very strongly about. And then the rest of the slots, usually it's like, damn, I've got 25 top films. I've got to cut it down to 10 this year.
It's going to be easy.
I got 10, maybe 11.
Yeah, it's going to be easy.
It is.
Be easy.
It is.
And things need to rebound quickly. Now,
yes,
from what everyone tells me,
yeah,
I'm going to go see Avatar here in about an hour.
I'm debating.
I don't want to. I'm just going to say that right out.
Yeah.
I don't want to. But a lot of people who I respect are saying it's the thing. It's, going to blow you away. It's, it's making top 10 lists all over the place. It got some nominations from Critics' Choice. So I'm going in. I'm trying to be hopeful. But you and I kind of talked about this a little bit as far as maybe we've gotten to the point to where we've seen too many movies I don't want to use the word that we're too old. Let's say we're too experienced.
Yeah.
And some of these things that people love, I just don't understand.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it.
And I'm feeling like, I mean, I've always felt like my voice has been in the minority, and I'm feeling even more so now. I just don't get it sometimes, especially some of these nominations. I just don't get it.
Well, here's the thing, though, and we didn't review Everything Everywhere All at Once
Right.
when it first came out because we both hated the Daniels first film. And, you know. We did. And so, and I guess we need to be more open-minded about that. I finally got around to seeing it. And that was one I don't understand. I know you liked it.
I loved it.
I don't get it. I just don't get why this is taking everything by storm. It got the most nominations from the Critics' Choice. It had the most wins for the Chicago Film Critics Association. It's being brought up again and again and again. Explain it to me. The appeal. I lasted an hour.
Man.
And then I fast forward through.
Okay, I laughed my ass off. I thought it was hysterical. I loved the relationship. I loved the multiverse concept. I think it's a very cool concept. I know that's, superhero.
That's old hat, lady.
It is, but but in something that just feels a little bit more real world versus superhero.
Okay.
I liked the integration of that. I thought that was fun, and I really loved all the characters. Michelle, how do you say her last name?
I think it's Michelle Yeoh.
Yo.
Yeah, she plays a woman who's at loose ends. Her family's falling apart. She's about to lose her laundromat. She's got tax problems. And then she finds out that she is a heroine in other universes. And she's got to get it together in order to save all the universes.
Right. And the universes, some of them are hysterical. The hot dog fingers. You missed that, didn't you?
No, I got to it.
Okay, you're
I think
not
that's where I
laughing.
fast forwarded. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
I thought it was hysterical. Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing as she turns out to be a bad guy, and she's hunting Michelle Yeoh's character down. Michelle is married to this guy who's a bit of a loser, but in a little flip of a switch, he's actually from
the
another
hero.
universe
Yeah.
too. I thought it was complicated. And I thought it was wonderfully explained. I was along for the ride. I watched this on a trip from Chicago to LA on American Airlines because they have a great selection of movies. Thank you very much, American Airlines. And I just laughed and laughed. The 2 hours went by really quickly. It is a little bit long.
2 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay, so maybe it's about 20 minutes too long.
So there's two rocks that talk to each other too, right?
See, I liked it a lot. I'm sorry that you did not
No,
enjoy
I
it.
mean, good for you. Good for
Yeah.
you. And I guess I'm sorry for myself that I
That you didn't
just
enjoy it.
haven't, I just scratched my head at this whole thing. It came off to me as cheap.
Okay.
I hated that it was stuck in one location.
Yeah, you texted me like, are they getting out of this effing laundromat?
Even though, no, we're at the IRS
Oh, the
building.
IRS, that's right.
Even though we're in multiverses, I never got the notion that we were moving anywhere.
Okay.
We were always stuck in this building. And okay, I realized the budget was, wasn't what they wanted and things like that. I get it. But I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and try it again. But it just didn't.
Yeah, well,
And maybe the hype was too much by the time I got to it.
and that's although the hype was pretty high when I got to it too, because I just watched it a couple weeks before you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all had different sensibilities. We all had different, senses of humor too.
Oh, completely.
And
Completely.
I don't even know how many different types of humor they say there are. But I know you and I are very different. We both like dark humor, and I think that's where it I think we're done at that.
Yeah.
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 We like different comedies. My friend Kristen and I, she has a totally different sense of humor than I do. She likes everything my husband likes.
There you go.
And they're very similar with that. So I think that's a similarity. And let's look at Banshees of Inisherin.
The best movie of the year.
Yeah, and I didn't love it. I didn't find it funny or entertaining. So I understand where you're coming from on this Everything Everywhere All at Once, because everybody else is in the Inisherin boat and I'm out to sea somewhere,
Yeah, and that ended up winning for Chicago Film Critics Association as the best film.
Yeah, best
which
picture.
I voted for.
Best. I think out of the ones that were there, I think I voted for it as well.
I mean, it was the big winner.
Yeah.
Carrie Condon, Best Supporting Actress, well deserved.
Colin Farrell.
Brendan Gleeson, Best Supporting Actor. Colin Farrell, and I think also best screenplay.
Yep, it did.
And I hope that momentum, picks up and continues. With the Critics' Choice Awards, and the reason we're talking about the Chicago Film Critics and Critics' Choice is that we're members of both. Everywhere got 14 nominations. 14.
That's a lot. Is that like a record? It's got to be up there.
It's got to be close.
Yeah.
And fine, whatever. But you and I have had issues with this organization for a long time, and I think that they really came out this year as well. I mean, what part of the problem with the Critics' Choice organization is that they have nominations, but they might have 6 or 7 in each category, which kind of waters things down a little bit.
Right.
But even with 6 or 7, there were still films that were overlooked. You realize 13 Lives got nothing?
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Nothing.
Not even production.
Not even production. And they built those caves in airplane hangars for the realistic cinematography.
Yeah.
Everyone, you think cinematography, think, oh, beautiful stuff. There's other skills involved there, and them having to shoot underwater.
It was incredible.
Unreal. I mean, that got nothing from us.
Oh, that's so sad. That doesn't represent what we're supposed to know.
Exactly. And that doesn't bode well for other organizations either.
Right.
Do I think 13 Lives is the best film of the year? No. But it certainly is well crafted. And I'm certain that, the Academy now nominates 10 films. It could crack that 10, and I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
So I have, I had a problem with that. And there was a few others that were overlooked as well. But that always happens.
It does. It happens every single year.
Yeah, they have no taste.
Apparently
at
not.
all.
Yeah. Well, and I know you liked Banshees, but I mean, I looked at the nominations for the Chicago Film Critics, and I'm like, okay, I didn't pick one of those.
Yeah, no, you didn't. Yeah, you were on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I definitely was. I was like 5 miles away.
Yeah, you were.
We don't have anything. You know what?
Well, it's feast or famine.
Yeah.
Next week, then we're gonna have way too much.
Right, and we won't be able to cover it all.
Yeah, and we'll do our best.
Yes.
But I think we're gonna argue about one next week. Although you saw Babylon twice.
I did.
And you said you liked it better the second time.
Yeah, and we'll talk about why.
Okay.
It's an interesting thing. I don't think I'm the only one in that boat. Here I am in a boat again.
There you go.
Is it sinking? Does it have a hole?
Well, yeah, there's a lot to talk about with Babylon. Definitely.
Yeah.
And the reaction to that has been very interesting. That's, I think, a love or hate.
I think you're right.
That I don't see any, from what I've been reading and from what I've been hearing from people that I've talked to, there's no middle ground on that one.
Yeah.
And I understand that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. One that we're going to talk about next week that I'm anxious to watch this weekend.
What?
Puss in Boots 2.
Oh my God, you're going to.
Which I hear is fantastic.
Oh, I'm not allowed to say anything yet. I don't think so.
Okay.
Am I? I don't know.
No. There's reviews on Rotten
Oh my
Tomatoes.
God, it's so much fun.
I've heard that. I can't wait.
I've watched it twice.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I'm watching
Even
it.
Chris watched it twice.
I'm watching it tomorrow night. Okay, I can't wait. We'll talk about that one next week.
That is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that one looks like a scream. So we got that. We got Babylon. What else is next week? There's
I don't even know.
a ton of stuff. And I don't even know. We're just going to have to go ahead and talk about the Fabelmans at some point. I mean, I don't know when it's coming out to us locally.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But I mean, they, do you realize that is, you can watch that on POV now?
No way.
Apparently, this has been the worst Thanksgiving that they've ever had.
Oh, I did read that, yeah.
And those types of movies, apparently, the Fabelmans, the Disney cartoon, a lot of those awards ones, Tar, which has been out a while, but they're saying that these prestige films just aren't catching, and that crowd is staying home, and so they're rushing them now to watch at home a lot quicker.
Okay.
So Fabelmans, you can see it at home. It hasn't come to Champaign-Urbana yet, but you don't have to leave. And in a sense, they're kind of undercutting themselves by doing that, I think.
I don't know. I think they're still trying to figure out what the algorithm is to make money, and to get it in front of people's eyes and to get awards, so they can do more. So I think because everything is available and people don't go to the movies like they used to. People will go to see Avatar. Let me know if you feel sick from the glasses you have to wear.
And I think this is one of the things I'm going to cover in my review is that, the movies have always cyclically go through crossroads. TV was going to wipe the movies out.
Right,
no one was ever going to go to TV again.
Right.
Go to the movies again because of TV. What do? They pivot, and suddenly we have these huge widescreen extravaganzas that get people back into the theater. The VCR, why would you go to the movie again? VCR is going to wipe out the films.
Right.
A little bit of a blip, but
Comes back.
another innovation is Avatar, that sort of innovation that will get people back into seats. Maybe for that one film.
Right.
But it's such an expensive process that they're using. It can't be a widespread thing that I was talking to a guy who owns a theater down in Decatur, and he's got an old theater, and he's bought the storefront next door, split it into 2 theaters. He's got 3, and he's struggling.
Yeah.
They're struggling. And we were talking, I don't think they'll ever build a multiplex again over 10 screens.
I don't think they should. I really, when all of, when COVID hit, and I really thought that we would see things change more drastically. I thought maybe movie-going would come back around to the way it used to be back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, where it was an event. It was a thing to do.
You mean once we get out of COVID?
Once we get out of COVID, yeah. But it isn't. I would have liked to have seen that.
There are too many things working against it. Just way too many
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
It's expensive to go to the movies.
And that's why a lot of 20 and 30-year-olds don't go.
Right.
Someone was telling me they drop $100 when they go to the movie. $100.
Yeah. I used
That's
to go
a
every
lot.
weekend.
Yeah.
I'd go every weekend. Didn't matter. Was going to go see something.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely ridiculous.
And so if you've got Netflix, you're paying, I don't know, $15-$20 a month. And
Right.
you've got,
and the stuff they bring.
I know. And then you've got Hulu, which is another $5 unless you pay $13.
Amazon.
You got Amazon. I mean, seriously, why would you go to the theater unless it's something special?
Yeah. And that's my fear.
Yeah.
And the only reason we'll go to the movies anymore for superhero films, adventure films, the big spectacles.
Yes.
I think that's what movie theaters are going to be for, and that's a shame.
It is.
That's a shame. So let's hope I'm wrong.
You have been before.
Once or twice.
And that does it for Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. Thank you to everybody for listening, taking the time, and thank you so much. I've gotten some great emails from people thanking us. Thank you very much for doing that, taking time out of your day to let us know what you're thinking. I really appreciate that. Both Chuck and I do. And please share. We'd love for more people to be able to listen to this, and we will save you a seat.